24/7, 365. The fantasy season never dies. Welcome to Every Day is Draft Day. Presented by Champions Round.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the latest edition of Every Day is Draft Day. I am your host, as always, Dan Turner. Joining me today, we have the awesome Jeff Haseley, and new to Champions Round, everyone give a big welcome to our good friend Joey. What's up, guys?
Hey there. Happy Friday to you, Dan. Thanks for having us on. We're looking forward to talking about some new hot takes and hopefully less pancakes.
Yes, there are never actually any pancakes. I don't know why no one ever brings pancakes, but it just never happens. So we're just going to jump right into it today. So, Jeff, you said you had some really good takes before the show, so we're going to start with you. Let's hear them.
All right. Well, how about I'll give you one at least.
All right. Well, yeah, just one.
Start us off. And so there's a lot of hype around the Baltimore Ravens, particularly the running backs. You got J.K. Dobbins returning. You've got Gus Edwards as well. But I'm going to say that J.K. Dobbins finishes outside of the top 20. And, like I said, he's returning from an ACL injury. And there is some talk that he also damaged his LCL, which could lengthen his return time. And, I went deeper and just kind of looked at the running backs and how they've done in the Lamar Jackson era. And only one running back has eclipsed 200 carries in a season, and that was Mark Ingram, who had 202 carries in 2019. Since then, no back on Baltimore has exceeded 144 carries. And to add to that, Baltimore is ranked dead last in running back receptions since 2018, which is also, hint, hint, the year Lamar Jackson entered the league. And they've had one running back in the top 20 in the Lamar Jackson era, and that was Mark Ingram in 2019, who finished 11th. So Dobbins just has a lot of flags for me. A lot of people are like, gung-ho, thinking that he's the answer. But, the Ravens like to use that running back by committee. And especially with him coming back not quite healthy and Edwards also not quite healthy, I think we're just going to get a little bit of a give and take here from them. And no one's really going to be a sound stud running back. So finishes outside of the top 20. That's my pick.
Joey, what do you think about that?
Listen, I'm pretty biased when it comes to ACL injuries. I love J.K. Dobbins. I've always been a fan since college. I disagree. I think he's obviously not going to be a top 5, top 10 back, but I still think he's going to have a huge bounce back year just because when I look at those injuries, and I'm not sure about the other injury that you said there's been talks about. So obviously if that's in play, there's definitely something to watch out for, and you always got to be cautious. I mean, you look at running backs like Saquon, ACL, he comes back and doesn't do much. I think Dobbins is probably working his butt off right now to get back to where he used to be. And I think they kind of want to rely on the run game more than they usually have, because you see Lamar could be super inefficient when it does come to airing it out. So I think J.K. Dobbins is going to have a major bounce back year, but that's just my take on that. And we're going to have to find out. I mean, I hope he does. I know the Ravens do like to kind of rotate a little bit and run that spread, but yeah, we'll see.
Okay, so for this, I kind of agree with you there, Jeff. I think that Dobbins won't be top 20. I think even when he was healthy in 2020, he wasn't in PPR. He wasn't top 20 anyway. So I don't see coming back from an injury like that with more running backs. They got Mike Davis. They have that Tyler Batty, the rookie. Gus Edwards is coming back. So I think they will run more. I think Joey has a good point. I mean, they don't have many offensive weapons to throw to as much without Hollywood Brown. But I think that they'll distribute the running plays with also obviously Lamar Jackson taking a couple of those as well. I just don't see him having really a path to being a top 20 back, unless of course he does what Zeke Elliott did last year, where he was a top back just because everyone else that was around him, fell off and died. That's the only way I could see him doing it really. All right, Joey, what's your hot take?
My hot take is, and I am personally not the biggest fan of the Patriots, but this is non-biased. I seriously think that the Patriots are going to miss the playoffs this year.
Ooh,
and really? I think that because I think that Bill has taken his foot off the gas like he has in previous years. I mean, you look at their offense, and I get Mac Jones has been grinding, and he had a great rookie year, super consistent. but I just don't see them having weapons to excel. I mean, their number one receiver, honestly, I want to say is Devontae Parker now. And as a Dolphins fan, I've watched that man play for many years. I'm a big fan of him, but he can't stay healthy. So you're relying on, I wouldn't say old, but getting old receiver who can't stay healthy to be your number one. I don't really think they're – obviously, Damian Harris, great running back, but I don't think it's just enough. I think Jabril was a great addition on defense, but I can't see them making the playoffs when everyone around them is getting better. That being said, I'm also talking about the Jets when I say getting better, because you're still playing those teams twice a year. You got the Finns on the come up, the Jets on the come up, and obviously the Bills are the Bills. So I could see the Patriots missing out on the playoffs this year.
Where do you see them record-wise?
I see them record-wise probably hot take 6-11.
Whoa. 6-11.
Yep.
Is that last place?
I'm telling you, the reign of Bill Belichick is over. All right.
Is that last place? That might be last place in the AFC East.
The AFC is definitely going to be, the tougher conference for sure. But 6-11, that's tough. Now Belichick will be the offensive coordinator, which will be the first time that there's been no offensive coordinator in the NFL since like 2003, whatever it was. But I like Mac Jones coming into his second year. I like Damian Harris as a running back who can score the ball. I think you're forgetting about Jacoby Myers. Just the fact that he necessarily can't catch touchdowns. I think that touchdown regression could go up. Kendrick Bourne is a dual threat option who can run the ball as well as receive. They're not a bad team, and I just think that Belichick will have them in the at least in the conversation. It could be a competitive team. I don't think 6-11 is going to happen. Maybe 9 wins, 8 wins would be the fewest, but the AFC is going to be a tough battle. But I think you're selling the Patriots a little bit short there.
And their win totals right now is set at 8.5. So, that when it's set at that, and you maybe drop 2 games, and I know Belichick doesn't do that. It's Belichick, but it's not far off. And honestly, I want to clip this, and I want to remember this clip at the end of the year.
Oh, we're definitely going to clip this.
I'm going to come back guns blazing, dropping this clip everywhere, sending it to every Pats fans I know.
It's a sort of a hot, chalky take because Josh McDaniels isn't there anymore, so there's some question marks there. But I can't go against Belichick like that. I can't.
All right.
So I'm actually going to lean Joey's side on this one. I think that, Belichick gets a pass a lot because of what he did with Brady. But even in terms of like his drafting and stuff, it hasn't been the greatest. Even when he did have Brady covered up a lot of mistakes. I think, they lost some key offensive coaches with McDaniels. And another thing is that everyone else in the division is either got better or already is better. I mean, the Bills are already better than them. The Dolphins got, much better on offense, in my opinion. The Jets did as well. So everyone wants to clown the Jets and Zach Wilson, but I do think that he'll surprise a lot of people this year. They put a lot around him to make him better. 6-11 though. I mean that's last. I don't know. When was the last time you and the Patriots were last in the division? It was like I just haven't looked it up.
Even with Matt Carroll, they had 11 wins.
Yeah.
Or not Matt Carroll. Who am I thinking of?
Castle.
Castle. Thank you. Hello.
Yeah, that was the year they went 11-5. And the Dolphins
missed the playoffs,
and they still missed the playoffs,
which is crazy. But yeah, I have to look that up now. But yeah, I think that it is possible that they do miss the playoffs. I mean, the offensive weapons that Jones has to throw to aren't the greatest. I mean, we can talk about Jacoby Myers and Kendrick Bourne and Devontae Parker, but Devontae Parker isn't the Devontae Parker that was in Miami years ago. I mean, he's pretty much washed at this point, in my opinion. So they do have the tight ends. I mean, Hunter Henry is a good tight end, and so is Jonnu Smith. But I mean, they didn't really do anything really in free agency or the draft for me to think that they're gonna suddenly leap up offensively. And this whole philosophy of Mac Jones being protected and doing these they're going to have to perform, and I don't think they will be able to. So I can see a scenario where, I mean, I don't know if they go 6-11, but I can definitely see. I'll go as far as I can see them missing the playoffs. Last, I don't know about last, but I can definitely see them missing the playoffs.
All right, Dan, what's your next hot take, buddy?
Hot take. We like that. Good job, Joey. Way to come out guns blazing. So mine is going to be kind of a little leapy frog off that. I think that the Jets make the divisional round of the playoffs.
So you think the Jets make the playoffs?
In the AFC, yes. Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Look, man. No, man. I'm not even going to let you explain this.
Okay.
The AFC is so packed with teams. I mean, the Jets can be an improvement. All right, I'll give you that. And if you were to say this last year about the Bengals, I might be like, maybe, but they're not making the playoffs, right? So, I mean, it's possible. The NFL, right? Anything can happen.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we're talking about the AFC, man. The dominant AFC, where you've got, I mean, there's going to be at least like 3 or 4 teams that are really good teams that won't make the playoffs. I don't see the Jets. I don't see the Jets being able to make that distinction there. But I'd love to hear your take on this.
So I think that everyone points to the fact that Zach Wilson, was 3-10 last year and didn't do well, and it's the Jets. I mean, everyone's thinking it's the Jets, so of course they're going to be bad. But the Jets, they don't have to be bad forever. They got no, seriously. They have a great offensive system in place now. They have consistency. They got Garrett Wilson. They got Breece Hall. They improved their offensive line. They got Jermaine Johnson on defense and Sauce Gardner, so their defense is improved. I'm not saying obviously that they're the Kansas Cities or the Bengals or the Bills even. I'm just saying that seventh spot. Pittsburgh got that 7th spot last year at 9-7. So I'm saying in the real possibility that the Jets like squeak in.
Are the Jets any better than any team in the AFC West?
No. Yeah, but I mean,
the Jets are in the they're in the conversation.
The Chargers are better, but they always seem to find a way to miss the playoffs somehow.
That kind of sounds like the Jets.
It does. So it wouldn't be a hot take if it wasn't something that it's crazy. But I just think that they'll improve enough. I just look at the roster top to bottom. I mean, they have a really good roster, and this whole thing about it's the Jets, so of course they're going to suck. It's kind of ridiculous, honestly. I just think they made enough improvements to be in that conversation for that spot to make the playoffs. Is what I'm saying.
Dan, did you say? Correct me if I'm wrong. Did you say that they were going to make it to the divisional round?
Yes, I did.
Wait. They're going to win. They're going to win a road playoff game.
Yeah.
All right. I agree that the Jets are 1,000% on the come up. And honestly, part of me, and trust me, I'm a Dolphins fan. Shouldn't like the Jets, but a part of me does have a feeling that it's going to be a bit of a shocking year where they could easily squeak into a wild card, even though the AFC is so competitive, and I understand that. But the Jets 100% got better. Everyone has that stigma for the Jets, like they do with the Browns. It's the Jets and the Browns. It's like, Jets are going to Jet, Browns are going to Brown. And I think this is finally the year where the Jets actually made the proper adjustments to get some stuff done. I think Zach Wilson is going to have, I hate saying it, but a really good year. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if I would be a little surprised. But if they squeaked into the wild card divisional round, I don't know if they're winning an away playoff game. Because Zach Wilson still was an interception machine last year, so that definitely needs to.
But that was down. Last year.
I know, but you still got to improve, and we have to see.
But think about it. The year before the Bengals went to the Super Bowl, so 2020, did everyone think that the Bengals were going to the Super Bowl the year after? No. Not that the Jets are going to the Super Bowl. I'm just saying you can make that improvement enough to get to the point where that's possible.
Yeah, but the Bengals won their division, didn't they? They did, right?
So. In fact, I'll go even further. If the Jets face someone like the Chiefs, they beat them.
Oh God. The Jets have to do so much to get to where you're talking about here. We're talking about a massive
I'm not saying they don't. I'm saying they can. They have what they need to get there, is what I'm saying. I'm not disagreeing with you that they have to.
They're on the cusp. They are there. They're doing everything they can to do things right? But I mean, it's just going to take some time. The whole team needs cohesion. It'll take time. They're getting there. I don't think this is their year.
Yeah,
I think
I've
this
heard
is.
people
I don't
say
think
this.
this is like the breakout year, but this is the year where they take that step to get like to that playoffs, and then next year or the year after, they could become that team that everyone thinks they're. I just think it's this year. I think it is.
I think you hope it's this year because you have a lot of shares of Zach Wilson and Garrett Wilson and
I have actually no shares of Garrett Wilson. Actually, 0. No, I do. I can show you. I have
So, Dan,
receipts. Yes.
So, Dan, are you saying an absolute lock of a bet is the Jets over 5.5 wins? Are you like stamping that right now and saying that is a lock skino, no doubt?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, you live in New Jersey. Go make a bet.
Doesn't that scare you that that's currently the most bet on thing right now?
Well, is it 5.5?
5.5, and it's the favorite. It's like -140. So people are laughing.
So I mean, they got 4 last year, and they improved their team. So, I mean, I'm looking at their schedule. They can beat the Seahawks. They can beat the Jaguars. They can beat the Lions. They can beat the Bears. I think they can split with the Patriots. That's 5 right there. They can beat the Browns.
They also had some close games last year too. I mean, I went to a game, the Dolphins-Jets game, and they were absolutely like dominating the first 3 quarters, and then Jets gonna jet. They blew it, but they definitely compete.
Yeah, but as far as the 5.5 thing, they go absolutely, absolutely.
Flip it.
No about that. I'll make the bet today. Actually, I'll make the bet and I'll post it in the group chat.
Go for it. Yes, I want to see that slip.
All right, Jeff. What's your second hot take?
Second hot. Yeah, we gotta put the train back on the rails here, man. Holy cow! What the hell? All right. So my hot take is that Terry McLaurin's going to finish inside the top 20, and the reason why I say this is because Carson Wentz is probably the best quarterback that McLaurin has ever had, and that I'm not sure what that says about Wentz. But that says a little bit about what McLaurin has had to deal with. He's obviously he's the top target in Washington. He was last year by a wide margin. He should be again. Last year with Indianapolis, Carson Wentz targeted Michael Pittman 130 times, 129 times, I think it was. The 16th most targets in the league he had. And the Colts were a running team. So, I mean, we know that Wentz can kind of lock on to one guy. I see that being McLaurin. I mean, he was just paid. The Commanders like him. They want him. They showed that they want to have him as their top target. He's shown success in the past with, like I said, other quarterbacks. Kyle Allen, Taylor Heineke, an old Alex Smith, the late Dwayne Haskins, who we also went to college with. So, I mean, these are all quarterbacks that, in my opinion, are probably less productive, talented than Carson Wentz. I just think that McLaurin, by volume alone, should be able to finish in the top 20. And, I mean, if Pittman can do it, so can McLaurin.
What do you think, Joey?
I agree. And I simply agree because what you said about Wentz is the guy who finds his receiver, he finds his guy for the year, and absolutely targets the hell out of him the whole entire year. He's not a mobile quarterback. He's going to pick his guy. He's going to focus on him the whole year. And McLaurin is so comfortable in that franchise now, and I think it's time for him to really excel. So definitely agree with that. I think it's going to be a breakout year for him actually having a good quarterback.
Right.
A good quarterback.
An improvement. He's kind of like the low end DJ Moore, where people are talking about him having the quarterback upgrade now with Baker Mayfield. And McLaurin has the same thing. So yeah, I'm all in on him. Plus, I've always liked McLaurin. He interviews really well. He's a student of the game. He knows that he could be. He's a coach on the field. He's very in tune with what's going on. He was like this as a rookie, and now to see him as a veteran coming through, love it.
Yep.
Dano?
So I'm going to go ahead and disagree on that. I think that he is not a top 30 wide receiver.
Whoa! Ooh. No, Dan, no.
Yes.
Dan, who pays the bills?
Yes.
How?
How what?
Go ahead, man. Keep going. I interrupted.
Okay. No, it's okay. So
throwing a pancake in your face, I think, is what it is.
So he had 131 targets last year, which was 13th in the league. So realistically, how many more targets is he going to receive? There could be a slight uptick. I agree with both of you. Wentz does lock on. So if he locks onto him, he'll make it what 140, 150. Well, let's say conservatively, fine.
That's a
All
lot. I was thinking maybe like 125, 130 ish or so.
All right, so 130. So basically, what he got last year, right? So he was wide receiver 25 last year in PPR, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see where the jump is going to be where he gets into that top 20 based on what he did last year. Like he was already targeted super heavily. His catch rate wasn't like the best. He got like 60% of his passes. And I just don't think Wentz is as good as people make him out to be. Like, two teams have dumped him already in the last 2 years. There's a reason he's on his third team in 3 years.
Michael Pittman survived with him.
Yeah, but the Colts also have a better offensive system. They have better offensive line and just overall better franchise than Washington is. Washington's offensive line isn't as good. Carson Wentz is going to be under more pressure than he was. And Carson is going to have, Jonathan Taylor to hand the ball off to take some of the pressure off him. It's going to be Antonio Gibson and McKissick and Brian Robinson, the rookie. So there's going to be a lot more pressure on Wentz, to perform. It's going to be more on his shoulders. And we've seen in the past where when that happens, he doesn't perform well. So, I mean, I can see him, matching what he did last year. I can see him in that, maybe his height do like a wide receiver, like 25-ish. I just don't see him as top 20. I think that Wentz folds, honestly, this year and McLaurin's stock goes with it and he drops the wide receiver 30 line, personally.
Man, we're going to have to rack this clip.
Proven wrong, Terry.
Why do you guys believe in Wentz so much, though?
Why do we what?
Speak up, boy.
Because at one point, Wentz was an MVP QB.
that
was I guess knee and back injuries ago, but it's. I mean, you have a decent point, but I mean, I see that as Wentz being an improvement over any other quarterback he's had, and I think that says a lot. Plus, we know what Wentz did with Pittman. I'll give you the fact that the Colts had a stronger offensive line, yes, but that was a running team, and he did that. So. McLaurin is obviously the top guy, and he might be the top guy by a wide margin. I mean, how many targets are we expecting Jahan Dotson to have? Curtis Samuel to have?
Yeah.
I'm 80? He should probably have 40 or 50 more targets than those guys, than anyone on the team. And to me, that's a huge feather in his cap in terms of fantasy value.
I just think, Pittman did better than McLaurin in last year with less targets. So McLaurin had more targets than Pittman and finished worse. Why is he going to be better this year?
Because the common denominator is
Wentz.
I just don't trust Wentz behind that line without the safety valve that Jonathan Taylor provides. I've seen it in Philly. I saw it in Indy when the time came for him to put it on his shoulders and do it. He couldn't
beat the Jaguars. You mean?
Exactly. Yeah, he couldn't beat the Jaguars to make it to the playoffs. and you're right. You make a great point. McLaurin is going to be the number one and number two pretty much target in that offense. But doesn't everyone else know that? I mean, isn't everyone? It
doesn't matter. Look what he's done with nobody, and everyone knows it's going to him.
Yeah, but it's a lot different, targeting guys in the AFC South than in the NFC East, which I think have better defenses than the AFC South does.
That's a thin.
I just don't trust Wentz. Honestly, I just don't trust Wentz. I think there's a reason the guy's on his third team in 3 years. I think that he was an MVP candidate. I saw personally he was from my team. I just don't think he's that guy anymore. I just don't think that he is going to be good enough to get McLaurin to the point where he is a top 20 guy. And another thing is that there's so many good receivers now that. It could not even be just by his fault. He could have a really good season. It's just that there's 20 other guys that have better seasons than McLaurin will. So, I mean, that's what my personal thing. I just don't see a point where he can get to the top 20.
We shall see.
Yep.
All right, I got another.
One more?
One more for Joey.
All right. By the way, what's with the green screen behind you?
Oh, I've been working on some video stuff. I've been playing around with it, so.
You should throw something up there, like
I know I'm trying. So that's what I've been working on.
Like Wentz taking a sack.
Oh, all right. I got a steaming hot take actually.
Oh,
all right. So last year, the Detroit Lions their win total was set at 3.5.
Yeah.
This year jumped up. They're at 6.5 right now. 6.5 wins for the Detroit Lions. I'm going to go with the over on that. I think their schedule is easy. I think Dan Campbell is the most gritty coach, most motivational coach I've ever meet. And I think Goff just steps it up. I think the 6.5 is a good bet.
I have to look at their schedule a little bit more intently, but from what I understand, they're in the top like 5 or 6 of schedules. So I mean, they do have a decent schedule, kind of like Washington also. Or not Washington, the Jets we were just talking about. 6.5. That means they have to get 7.
I know. I think that's a crazy jump. Especially with the Lions being the Lions, like that's a wild jump that Vegas decides to.
They'd have to get 7. I'm not sure if they can do that. But I mean, you got the Packers in a iffy year with Roger. I mean, the Bears as well. The division's sort of available. Mm-hmm. That's a tough one.
You don't know what's going to happen in that division.
I think they're going to have like 6 or 7 wins. I don't see them as like 8 or 9, and I'm like, oh yeah, play that.
Oh no! I'm not saying I should have reworded that, but
man, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it's possible, especially if Jamison Williams comes on strong and is able to do something by like week 8.
Mm-hmm.
And if he turns into like the next type of like CeeDee Lamb, who actually I don't know, he kind of reminds me a little bit of AJ Green. Oh. But and we saw what he did as a rookie. It's entirely possible. But I don't know. I'm gonna say 6 wins, so I'm gonna say under.
Yeah, I mean they competed last year, and you have to realize they lost 2 O-linemen to start the year. And I don't know. I'm excited to see what Swift could provide this year too. So
yeah, he's got to stay healthy too.
Yeah,
and Hawkinson.
Yeah. So I just don't see them winning 7 games. I think they might improve a bit over the 3 that they won last year. I just don't see a path to 7 wins. I'm looking at their schedule. It's the Eagles. That's probably a loss, I hope. Commanders, they may win that. Vikings, they'll lose. Seahawks, they'll win. So 2. They'll lose. Cowboys, they'll lose. Dolphins, they'll lose. Green Bay, they'll lose. Chicago, they'll win. So that's 3. Giants is 4. Bills lose. Jaguars win. So 5. Vikings lose. Jets lose. Panthers, so 6. So
they're
6.
looking to the Jets. See, The Lions are like, we get to play the Jets.
Right, yeah.
And the Jets are like, we get to play the Lions.
So, looking at the schedule at first glance, you'd think no way. But I just don't see them getting to the 7 wins they need. I would take the under on that bet. I mean, it's still – I just don't see them having enough talent to overcome their schedule just yet. I think they're going in the right direction. I think Campbell's the right coach for what they need. And I just don't trust Goff, and I think Swift is overrated. So I think that and Jameson Williams will do well, but is he going to come back, healthy? He tore his ACL pretty late in the season in college. So I think that they're the team that's like kind of like the year away team. I think that next year they're going to be where we think they're going to be where Joey thinks they're going to be this year, personally.
Interesting. So, hey, I've got a question rather than a take, and it's to you, Joey. As a Dolphins fan, how many wins do you think they need to have in order to get a wild card or a playoff berth? And can they do it?
It's so hard because the AFC is ridiculously competitive now. And it's like 10 wins isn't going to get you a wild card unless you win some of these tiebreakers. But with that being said, I'm going to say it's going to have to take 10 or 11 wins, and I do think they're going to do it. And if they don't, I personally am driving to Tua's house and removing his name from the team because I'm a big Tua fan, and I'm the first one to make an excuse for him. But this is the year that he's literally got all the pieces to the puzzle around him.
No more excuses.
No more excuses. It's up to him. Listen, the first year, he was coming off that horrible hip injury. Like, give him that. Second year, rookie year. That's his rookie year. Third year, this is it, man. Like, no more excuses. You got everyone kind of bashing him, and you kind of see him, like, staying composed a little bit. I think what Flores did with him, with the rotating Fitzmagic situation, I think that messed up his head a little bit. It always does to a QB. You can't be taking one out, taking one in. You got to stick with him. And this is the year. I mean, I hope so. I mean, you got all these critics saying, "Oh, Tua can't throw the deep ball." You got their social media team posting videos of him underthrowing one ball. So there's people around him not helping him out, but this is it. I'm excited. I think they do. I think they actually make a run for the division. I mean, they're not far off from the Bills. The Bills are the only team that they can't beat, though. They're so in Tua's head. All they had to do was beat the Bills 2 seasons ago, last game of the season, to make the playoffs, and they choked. They got blown out. It was probably one of the worst days of my life. Yeah. So that was no, I'm not even kidding. It was really tough because, seeing Tua in that year, I was like, no way, this guy's the answer. He's the truth. He's going to make the playoffs for us. And yeah, so as long as they could steal one from the Bills this year, I have no doubt in my mind they'll make the playoffs. And I think they sweep Patriots, and I think they split with the Jets.
Da-da-da, there you have it. Which running back is going to come? Is going to be the one to have in Miami?
I like Edmonds. I like Edmonds a lot. Edmonds is like one of those running backs that could do it all. I mean, obviously he's a runner. He could catch passes, and he's really good at picking up a blitz. And that's what we kind of had trouble with. Tua gets killed every game. We have a terrible line, but we did make some additions. So, yeah, I like Edmonds. I mean, it's going to be cool seeing the rotation, though. I
am really curious to see how Tua's game translates to Tyreek Hill's game and vice versa. Will Tua be able to throw it deep? Will those air yards still be there? I mean, I love Tua's release, especially right over the middle, usually to like Gesicki. Those are some pretty passes. Now, if he can hit Tyreek on that and after the catch, that's what they need to do.
100%. I don't even think it's going to be a big deep ball situation. Obviously, he's going to air it out, but a lot of it's going to be these quick slants, and Tyreek's just going to go because that's what he does. He does these RPOs, and he could either give it or just dart it right down the middle. So,
yeah, that is kind of the bread and butter of what's going to determine the success of the Dolphins this year.
Yeah, we'll see because I say a lot of stuff like that, but I hope so. I sure do.
Yeah, all the excuses are gone for Tua now. Again,
everything they needed. No excuse.
Everything they needed.
And hey, we got if Tua doesn't perform, Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah.
Hey, you got him. That's right. I forgot about the fact that he's there.
Yeah.
Everyone forgets about Teddy Bridgewater.
Another guy that we picked up too that I'm actually super excited to watch is Cedric Wilson from the Cowboys. Like watching him on the Cowboys, he was always really explosive and made some big plays. So
yeah, he was good. He definitely had a breakout year.
He's kind of like one of those X factors who can do something any given week, but the consistency just won't be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as a number 3 guy there, it's a great pick up for them. All right, so for the last take of the day, let's go with this.
Thank you. Yeah.
Let's make it a good one, Dan.
Deebo Samuel does not end up in the top 15 wide receivers.
All right, well, let's hear your take. We can't just go with that.
So a lot of his points last year were because he was the dual threat guy. He was rushing and receiving. Again, over 300 yards rushing, 8 touchdowns. During the offseason, he said he doesn't want to do the rushing part anymore. He wants out of San Francisco. So if you take away the rushing aspect, even by a little bit, and the fact that Trey Lance better start there in San Francisco, Trey Lance is going to have a learning curve. I think that he just drops out. I just think that he won't have the opportunities necessary to get to that, the top spot that he was in last year. He doesn't want to do half of it anymore anyway. So that's going to hurt him a bunch. And the fact that he's going to be bringing in a new quarterback is going to hurt him as well. So hopefully Kittle stays healthy. That'll take away something. I mean, Ayuk is still there. So I just think that he's going to have a bigger drop than people realize.
All right. I know we talked about Deebo before, maybe not necessarily on this particular show, but I think we did. And I agree with you. I'm with you on this because if last year was most likely a career year for him, everything just went right. It was a perfect storm of success for him, as a rusher, as a receiver. The touchdowns were even high. You've got a new quarterback coming in. We don't know how he's going to mesh with him. You already mentioned the fact that he's less inclined to want to be able to be that rusher that he was. So, yeah, if you're buying him at his current ADP, you're buying him to replace or exceed those numbers that he had last year. And it's very possible that just won't happen. So I'm with you. And not only outside of the top 15, he could be dangerously outside of the top 20 if he's just a receiver. And he's maybe has a little bit of involvement in terms of, full scrimmage yards as a running back too. So, yeah, I'm with you there. I agree. And it seems like today that hasn't happened that often.
All right. Yeah. What do you think,
Joey?
I think we all got one that we agree on.
Oh, boo.
I do agree because, like you said, you're buying into his stats when it comes to rushing, receiving, all of that. And he literally comes out and says that he doesn't want to do that anymore. Also lost his offensive coordinator, Mike McDaniel.
That's right.
He's going into a new system. I don't think he has the year that he does. And I think, especially with the new QB, if he does, it's going to take some time. So definitely not someone that I would target in the early rounds, if that.
Yeah. All right, so that'll do. Coming on his first time on the show. Hope you enjoyed it. Drop some bombs to start with, which we really appreciate. So, anyone have any last words before we head out for the weekend? Jeff, Joey.
Thank you guys for having me. This was great. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we need more. We need to have a little bit larger of a panel, but it's great having you on, Joey. We usually do this every Friday. It's live and people can watch it, and then we'll record it or we'll upload it to YouTube as well. But yeah, absolutely. Unless you want to say anything else about what's coming down the pike there, Dan.
Yes, absolutely. So we have a bunch of some awesome things coming up for Champions Round. We have our Daily Dozen game. It'll be our new paid edition of the game is coming up live. We also have our Discord. We have a bunch of awesome stuff on there as well. Definitely check out all our awesome shows. We brought in some awesome guys in Trell and Joey to pumping up some awesome content on Instagram and on TikTok as well. So definitely check out all of that. I'm doing some articles. I'm putting out an article today on what wide receivers are going to be in the first round. So basically, we have a bunch of stuff going on. It's a bunch of really exciting stuff going on here at Champions Round. So definitely make sure to follow us on all our social platforms to make sure that you're in on all the fun. So with that, everyone have a wonderful weekend, and we'll be back with you next week.
Yeah. See you guys.